Greetings. Welcome to In Conversation with Trevor, brought to you by Heart and Soul Broadcasting Services. I go beyond the headlines and beyond the sensational. Today I'm in conversation with Gemma Griffiths, Afrofusion Musician. If you enjoy this conversation, remember to subscribe, to like, and share. Let's get down to some work. Gemma Griffiths, welcome to In Conversation with Trevor.
Ndichatarisa
Ngizakhangela
kwa muri mwari.
Guwenkosi yam. Wow. I mean, I love the song. Ndichatarisa, tell me, what's the motivation? What was the inspiration behind the song?
Thank you, Trevor. Ndichatarisa was a very honest moment. That sort of happened last year. I was going through something really rough, and I think I've always sort of, when I was younger, used music as a way to express, and I think Ndichatarisa was exactly that. I was going through something really, really rough and really unexpected in my personal life, and I just remember standing in the lounge and praying this prayer, Ndichatarisa kwa muri mwari kana upenyu wangu orema. When I can't see a way out, that I'm going to lift my eyes. And it was an incredibly honest song. And it was a song for me.
Part of your healing?
Yeah, absolutely. A massive part of my healing. And I think sometimes when you make music for yourself, you didn't realize how many other people needed to hear it. So
you can say that
moment.
again.
Mm-hmm.
The things that become successful in life, the things that are impactful, in most instances are the things that we do because we want to heal ourselves. We want to provide a service for ourselves, not realizing that there's so many in a similar position.
Absolutely. And I think they strengthen that, humans, we like community, we like connection. And
we are the same in so many respects.
Yeah, and we heal through knowing, I think, sometimes that other people have gone through similar things,
How long did it take to put the song together?
Very quickly, actually. I found sometimes that the songs that have done the best in my life, at least in my career, have been quick. I think sometimes when the creative process is such a different thing, and sometimes and it happens so differently every single time, but there are these beautiful moments where you basically just sing a song the whole way through.
Where it's effortless. It just pours out.
It just pours out. And those are the best.
Yeah.
Those are the best.
What was Mugarden the same thing, the one that you did with Winky D?
Yeah, Mugarden was incredibly special. I think I was a little bit starstruck, definitely.
Yeah.
But Mugarden, we spent quite a long time in the studio because Winky D is, he really has a vision for his art, and he knows what he wants to create. And time isn't an issue. There's no time pressure. It's like, let's take as long as it takes to get this perfect, So that was very inspiring. Just watching the way that he works, and that he wants everything to be a certain way and to perfect it. And yeah, it was amazing.
There's something that you said which I found very powerful. And I'm going to read it. And I quote a start. I owe so much of my journey to Zimbabwean music culture and to Zimdancehall. I am grateful for my upbringing, for my parents, and for my country. As before anything else, I am Zimbabwean. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
That's powerful. Unpack that for us.
Yeah, I think... as a white woman in a Black music space coming up through Zimdancehall, which is sort of where everyone first heard of me, was through Mugarden. There was a lot of privilege that came with my race, but I owe everything to Zimdancehall, to Zim music culture, to people like Winky D and Fanton and Levels at Chill Spot Records who gave me a chance and a space and a voice, and who listened and who helped me make the music that I had made. And like I said, before anything else, I'm a Zimbabwean. Before my race, before anything else, that's who I am. I grew up in Harare, a couple of blocks down from the city center, and it's home.
Where were you born?
I was born in Cape Town. My mom had a slightly complicated pregnancy, so she had to go and have me with a specific doctor. But my folks were living here, both born in Zimbabwe.
Where did you go to school?
School? So I came back to Zim when I was 6 days old. So it was just to make sure that she delivered me safely.
Which school did you go to?
I went to Heritage, I went to Bishopsley, and I went to Chisapiti.
I know Mr. Crook, the headmaster of Bishops, is very proud of you. He always brags about you. You love this country, don't you? It comes across so powerfully. I was watching your video going up Chimanimani. Talk to me about your love for this country.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Zimbabwe there's something incredibly special about this place. And I've traveled to a lot of different places with my work over the past 10 years. I've been in a lot of different spaces, a lot of different countries on tour. And there's nothing quite like Zimbabwe. I think there is a joy in Zimbabwean people. There's an openness and a kindness. And I'm a people person. So for me, that connection, that sense of community, that sense of knowing your responsibility to each other before yourself is something that I found innately Zimbabwean. I think the natural spaces in our country, like you said, Chimani Mountains. And I'm a lover of nature. I'm always, whenever I have a free moment, outside and in nature. I grew up with a mum. My mum is runs an amazing reforestation program called My Trees, and they reforest indigenous trees in Hurungwe and down in by Mutare and that sort of area, all the way to Chimanimani. And I think I grew up with that, going into wild
that's where
spaces.
you take it from, being a person that loves being with other people.
Yeah, I would say so. And I think a person who loves being in nature. So Zimbabwe has my two favorite things: kind people and warm people and people that I connect with, and beautiful wild spaces. So
you went on a nationwide tour of Zimbabwe, 11 shows across Zimbabwe in 2022. Talk to me about that.
The Girl from Harare tour. So I've always wanted to do a tour across Zim, I think sometimes we, if an artist gets booked for a show, we often just go to that city for a night, do the show, we come back.
Venue, come back, hotel, home.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, I wanted to connect with people on the ground. I wanted to explore what it would feel like to actually go and bring my music to as many places as possible. And so I got a team together and actually, was very much behind putting that tour together. I had amazing people helping me, but I've always sort of been someone who wants to be involved in every decision in the business side of my career. And for me, learning how to do production on a show, how to put that together, everything from ticketing to booking venues to lights to stage to sound to booking the artist to making sure their accommodation and their food was sorted to understanding what was going to go into security and making sure that how people could buy tickets, wristbands, everything. And I wanted to be on top and involved in every area of that and be able to actually produce a nationwide tour. Because I think...
What is the biggest takeaway for you from that tour?
There were a few, definitely. I think on the organization side, just the colossal amount of work that goes into putting on a show, which as an artist is also, I think, really important to understand, and something I wanted to understand because, often you're just the person who goes, you've practiced your set, you go and you do what you're meant to do, but it's nice to understand what everybody else's role is and how much work has gone into, putting together a production. I think sound equipment, just my appreciation of a good sound engineer, I think the getting on a bus with 27 people who you're working with, your crew, your band, everybody and anybody who was involved in that process, and then driving, chatting, connecting, and
Lots of fun.
seeing all the spaces, you know, in the context of where you're going. I think it was amazing, and to be able to connect with people. We also did a lot of work in between the shows with an organization called Gold Youth, and as well in Hwange Park, just taking moments outside of the performance and outside of setting up the shows to actually connect with people, connect with youth.
In a way, you're being an ambassador for Zimbabwe, isn't it? Because the world is seeing bits and pieces of Zimbabwe through what you do.
I think it's important that the news that's coming out of Zim and the things that people are seeing when they're on YouTube and when they're, you know, researching, okay, what to do in Zim, or like what's Zimbabwe like. I want people to see the goodness, the beautiful moments, like going to Hwange National Park, like going to Chimani, and be able to see, like, wow, there's so many beautiful things I could do. You know?
Amazing. Yeah, I must own up and say, after that, after watching your Chimani trip, I've said to myself, I need to go on that trek. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. You also did an overland journey in 2019 in a Land Rover, 500 days, 25,000 kilometers. Girl, you're crazy.
I've heard that before.
Why did you do it?
I have wanted to travel Africa. I've wanted to see as much of the African continent as possible. And I was in my early 20s. I didn't have, you know, a lot of experience sort of overlanding over a big period. I'd driven, you know, to Manapools and Hwange and places like this with my parents growing up. But I wanted to see as much as possible in context of where I was going. So similar to the tour, driving made sense. So I sold everything. I sold my car and a lot of my possessions and moved myself into a Land Rover Defender with a roof tent on top, had a little box with some clothes in it and my studio equipment, and I just started driving and had no idea. I had about enough money for about 3 months, and I ended up on the road for 2 years.
What was the biggest takeaway from that?
People are kind. People are innately good. And there is a lot on this continent that is worth going and seeing, you know, beautiful untouched spaces, but we're not going to have them forever. I think a lot of them we're losing quite quickly. But I think my biggest takeaway was that, yeah, people are kind.
Beautiful. You grew up in a family of music lovers. Your grandparents were musicians. Your father is a conservationist, and so is your mother. Talk to me about the influence from your grandparents' side.
Yeah, so my gran was a concert pianist, and her father was a piano tuner.
Wow.
And that was on my mum's side. My dad's side, my grandfather played clarinet, and yeah, just a lot of music around, and a lot of encouragement that if that was something you wanted to do, then, you know, do it. My mum actually taught me trumpet and guitar. And I learned piano on the piano that she was gifted from her, I think it was her aunt, when she got married. So there were instruments around, and it was like, if you want to play, play. And I loved songwriting, so that was always an option. And I remember coming home once and playing a Chopin nocturne. It's actually here on the back of it's a tattoo.
Right, I see that.
Number 2. And my mum walked in tears, and she said, you know, my mum used to play that, and I used to lie under the piano and listen to this. And I had found it in one of my gran's old piano books. So yeah, I think my gran definitely had a really big impact on my music love, as did my mum.
And you say your first solo performance, you were 6 years of age.
Yes.
Was that the first time that you got the sense that I think I'm going to do this for the rest of my life?
Funny thing is, I think I can't remember specifically when I was like, this is what I want to do. It was just, I think when you're a child, you just do what you want to do. And I just wanted to play music. I wanted to write poems and then put music and then sing them. And so I don't remember ever making a decision like, this is what I'm going to do. It was just, this is what I want to do with my time. Until
you say, and I quote, I knew as early as then, when you're 6 years, that I just wanted to sing. I never wavered.
It's all I wanted to do. So every free moment, it was just like sing.
So there's nothing else out there that you've ever wanted to do. This is what you want to do.
There's things I've loved doing.
Like?
Dance. I love dancing. I don't know if I'm a great dancer. I think I loved dancing. I loved acting. I liked things that involved performance and stage and connecting with an audience.
And you like live performances, isn't it?
Live performances, yeah.
Why?
That's my favorite.
Why?
I think there's two reasons. I think one, my number one is that when you have a band and everybody understands music the way the band that I play with do, there's something that happens where they say music is a universal language. There's something that happens between musicians when you connect and you, let's say, go off into an improv section where everyone just kind of is talking and they know what is going to happen and they know what's going on, and then it just sort of weaves and it flows, and
serendipity of some sort.
It's incredible, and it's connection again. It's back to that, and it's conversation between musicians, and then I think conversation between the audience. That's the other thing. I think it was always a dream of mine to sing music that I had written and people connected with it, and I've witnessed that happen over the past few years, and it's been a privilege.
Do you get the energy from the audience?
100%, 100%. Yeah.
Amazing. We'll take a break here. When we come back, please don't go away. When we come back, we're going to get into amazing collaborations or performances that you've had with Oliver Mtukudzi, with Nutty O, with Winky D, Musaro, a big man, all those beautiful songs. So at home, please don't go away. Join us on the other side.
I don't know if there's really many artists in this country who weren't impacted by Baba Tuku in some way.
Welcome back to our conversation with Gemma Griffiths, Afrofusion musician. So Gemma, when you finished high school, you got a scholarship. Talk to me about that scholarship and where you went to study.
Yes, I got a trumpet scholarship actually to go to study in America at Snow College in Utah. I remember telling my parents, I was like, I really want to go study in America. I know that music is what I want to do, and I want to experience something else, broaden my horizons, and I applied and I got a trumpet scholarship. So I was there for 3 years.
And this was commercial music and composition.
Yes,
that's the degree that you.
Yeah, Snow College was amazing for their sort of. You had to learn commercial music because ultimately, if you were going into the music business, commercial music was one of the biggest. Obviously, it is. It's the biggest area in which you can go into music. So, commercial music composition and film scoring. Actually, I really loved. I loved writing music. I still do. So that was what I studied, and it was amazing. The theory and the knowledge of not only classical and jazz trumpet, but commercial trumpet. And I also expanded into piano.
Given where you are right now with your career and the education that you've had, if there's a young person watching you right now and wanting to get into music, is this the course that you'd recommend? Is this the path that you recommend, or you recommend something else?
I think there are a lot of ways to climb that mountain, but knowledge of music, I think, is incredibly important, and I would highly recommend it. I think it changed my playing. It changed my understanding of things like chord progressions and how to create something. But it also grew my knowledge of the business, of the music business side. Which is a huge part of climbing that mountain if you want to become an artist.
You when you left university, you went to Cape Town. And you say that this was your nomadic season. Talk to me about that nomadic season and what inspired the nomadic season.
Yeah, I wanted to become a singer. that's what I wanted to do. And I figured, okay, cool, where is somewhere that I can go and book a lot of, you know, shows and sing and try and make a name for myself and see, you know, what can, you know, what I can learn. And I thought, okay, Cape Town has a lot of restaurants, a lot of bars, a lot of events going on. Let me just see what happens if I go and try and sing. And I did. For 2 or 3 years. I never disconnected from home. I came home as much as I possibly could, and played. But I basically played bar gigs and
you started at the bottom.
I was sleeping on someone's couch for about 6 months, not able
waiting
to
tables,
singing. No, just singing.
Singing.
Sometimes for extortionately low amounts of money.
What's the lowest money that you were paid?
I think, well, besides free, which I did a lot as well, a lot of playing for exposure, which is which I'm glad I did because, you know, playing for
it's the way it's the only way sometimes you get doors to open for you, isn't it?
But I also think that there's a lot of flaw in people asking musicians to pay for exposure, but I did. But I mean, I used to play this one gig every week I was there for about 5 hours, and I think it paid $20.
Wow.
A week.
And you came across very interesting musicians, Freshly Ground,
yes,
Majozi,
mm-hmm.
and Nyabinde.
Yes.
Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I actually I opened for Nyabinde at his Christian Bosch summer concerts, and it was right after I had released that interpretation of Winky D's song Musaroa Biggie Man in, I think it was 2015, 2016, and Ja came up to me and he said, I want you to do one of mine. And I was like, oh my gosh, sure. Meanwhile, I'm freaking out because he's incredible.
Doors are beginning to open now, isn't it?
And yeah, and I didn't tell you. And yeah, so that was amazing. And to see so many Zimbabweans at Kirsten Bosch was really cool. So yeah, I spent about 3 years sort of in Cape Town doing as many shows as I could, and then coming back to Zim. And I think the thing that did for me really was the amount of playing I was doing. Hours and hours and hours a day, every single day, 7 days a week, because I needed to make rent. I needed to try and figure out how to, you know what I mean?
None of it wasted.
None of it wasted. I think my confidence grew. I think my understanding of my instrument grew. And ultimately, my stamina grew.
Which is important.
Yeah.
You talk about your one of your career highlights being with Oliver Mtukudzi. Talk to me about the impact that the late Oliver, had on you.
Yeah, I don't know if there's really many artists in this country who weren't impacted by Baba Tuku in some way. And for me, like so many others, we were able to connect personally. You know, he took the time to talk to you and to talk you through things. And I remember, performing for the first time with Baba Tuku. We sang Neria on stage in Cape Town at the Artscape Theatre in 2017 in November. I remember very clearly. And it was, I mean, who wouldn't
he was an amazing human being.
He was incredible.
He was humble.
He was incredible.
And he, like you said, he always took time to look you in the eye and talk to you without rushing. I just found that amazing with the man.
Yeah, he really was. And I think that's something that I would love. That's something that I think I would love to be able to try and emulate in some way. Is to take time with artists. He was never too big for anybody, even though he was
massive,
colossal.
Yeah,
you know. So I think that moment was very special, and that was our first moment, really, really being able to spend time together. And after that, we performed together again in Harare, more than once. Which was very special.
And you've also worked with Nutty O?
Yes.
Yeah, talk to me about that.
Nutty and I are...
Nutty has sat on that chair, by the way.
Really?
Amazing guy. Amazing guy.
He's incredible.
He's deep.
He's a visionary.
It's me going through a process, and an expressional process, trying to express part of the life I have lived in the music this far. The challenges, the hardships I faced, the victories incorporated, and all of these, trying to put them in one and express them in musically, so that everybody kind of fits in, despite you being in whatever speciality that you're in. It's a song that encompasses everybody, because everybody has a story behind them. Everybody has something they need to tell the world, from inception to the point that they are right now in their life. And that was me kind of articulating my story and musically. You know, I've been through a lot of situations as a musician, and not only just as a musician, as an individual in life. For you to be a great individual, you have to go through certain things.
He is a visionary. He really is. I think you sit with Nutty for an hour and you realize how deep he is, how spiritual and how connected with the process and the vision, and how far ahead he is, you know, working. He's not.
I think we've
just
seen a glimpse of what this young man is capable of doing.
Yeah, I really believe that he's got a long career ahead of him, and I think he goes about things in a really inspiring way. You know,
What motivated the Chimani Mira climb? Talk to me about that.
So Chimani had just come out with this new trail, the Mira Trail, which I believe is up to 5 days, and I think using a platform, you know, I have, like you, people who are listening, and I wanted to make sure that I was intentional about what I was saying. And I think coupled with that, my love of hiking, my love of being in nature, I thought, why don't I go and show people that this trail exists? You know, we often are looking, I went to Dubai, or I went to South Africa, but there's so much traveling internal that needs to happen in Zim, and that needs to happen more, and that we should get excited about these amazing places. And I told Nutty, I was like, I'm going to go to Chimani, and he was like, without me?
Really?
Nutty loves being in nature. We do Nyanga trips quite a lot together, and we did Chimani. He loves looking for amazing wildlife and spending time, and he prays in nature. And so we went and we did this trip, and we hiked and we camped and we slept under the stars, and it was incredible. Those mountains are spiritual, and they are special, and they are.
You opened my eyes to the Mira Trail, and it's something that I've added onto my bucket list. So thank you so much.
It's a bucket list one. I will come and redo it. I'll come and redo it.
Beautiful. You've said of Winky D that he's the godfather of Zimbabwean music, particularly dancehall. Talk to me about the inspiration of working on Musarove Big Man, your own rendition. What was the inspiration behind that?
Yeah, I think my love for dancehall and the energy and you know, so much about how it's connected to what's going on. I think I've really loved that growing up, and in high school especially, I got really into Zimdancehall, and you can't get into Zimdancehall without being a fan of Winky D. I mean, he really has led the way and created something so amazing in a lot of aspects. And Musarova Big Man was one of my favorite songs of his.
Well, I would say maybe I took it from another level, and I had to take it to a higher level. But when we look at dancehall, when it started really, the Zim Dancehall, I think I'll backdate it to around 2001, somewhere there, the term Zim Dancehall. Yeah. But before that, people were doing that. We have the likes of Yapi Bantan. They were doing what they were doing today. We have the likes of Mogoman. They did tricks in the 90s, right? But they had no name, a specific name to give it. They would just call it dancehall, as it is called in Jamaica. So with the new blood now, referring to ourselves at the beginning of the millennia, we say to ourselves, all right, actually I got a call from Jusa. We were in 2003, somewhere there. And he said, yo, this music that we are creating, I think we need to give it a name. Jusa is based in the UK, right? And I was here in Zimbabwe. So him being based in the UK, he was exposed. He had exposure then. Then he realized, oh, we can't continue moving this Jamaican path. We have to have our own identity from whatever it is these Jamaicans are doing. Yes, we are going to take certain things from their vibe, but let's create our own from what they have already. And I said, here in Zimbabwe, it's tomati mangoma is.
Right.
And they said, but I was thinking of the term Zimdancehall, and it was Juicer, and I think there was Sluggy Youth from Three Wise Men. So from that point, I don't know, I'm not aware of the discussions that they had from that end. But the next thing I saw was a website, zimdancehall.com. I think we were 2004-ish, somewhere there, right? Whereby he was just uploading the dancehall which was created here in Zimbabwe and putting it on his website, right? And from there, I think in 2007, they hosted what they called the Zim Dancehall Awards. And the first Zimbabwean locally based to have that award was King Labash with his song Kukonzeresa. And I got the award in 2008 with the track Rocca. So to put a mark and say, all right, this is where it started, where it was named Zim Dancehall officially, I think all eyes should just lead to the, what do we call this? The website. Yeah, because the website, I think it was around 2005, 2006. I'm not really sure about the years there. But just for me, for if we want to look at facts, I think those are the facts that can lead us to where the name Zim Dancehall came from. That's the only thing that is tangible. Everything else is he say and she say and so yeah, for me, I'll put it there. Even though we had other artists who have been doing the same thing that we were doing prior to our vibe that we're dealing it at that time, right? So in terms of giving it a name, I think that era during that
story.
Yeah.
I wanted to tell the girl side of the story. You know, I thought, can you imagine that scenario if your father walks into your room and you got a guy in there and you're saying, please don't hit him.
It's me who
my gosh,
invited
it's
him.
me.
And we're doing nothing, actually. He's just lying beside me, that's all.
Yeah, and so I thought that would be a really interesting side of the story to tell. And
Did it go down well?
yes, it did. And I didn't know Winky at all at the time. I was a fan, but I knew someone who knew him. So I reached out and said, look, this is what I would like to do. Please, can you try and get in touch with him and ask him if it's okay? And he said, sure,
Let's
go
do
for
it.
it. And so I did Musarowa Bigger Man and sent it on. And I think just knowing that he had seen it and that people connected with it and they were like, oh, this is kind of cool. Because it was a ballad. It was so different from, obviously, the original. But yeah, it was amazing. And I think had I not done that, you know, that was when Winky first heard of me. And 4 years later, Mugarden was born. I think Musarowa was the start.
It's amazing the things we do, which then open doors to other bigger things, isn't
and
it?
you have no idea which one's going to do
Exactly.
what. Yeah.
But you just have to act according to the prompting that you get.
Yeah.
And that's what you did here.
Yeah.
And Mugarden right now has about 8.4 million views on YouTube alone. That's massive. You did it in 2019 with Winky D. Did you think it would be this big?
I had no idea what was going to happen. And I think I didn't expect it to do what it did. I didn't really know. I was just like this young girl, new to the industry, new to the business, and just going, Winky D wants to do a song with me? What do you mean? But when I remember the first time I heard the song, I thought, wow, this is something special. I think the story, I think just all of it, I was like, yeah, this is going to be something special. But I don't think I quite anticipated what would happen because
it's a beautiful love song.
It's beautiful. It's biblical. It's and I think
in the garden
and the video
Adam and Eve
ties in with it. It's amazing.
And I like the video, professionally done, and I think that's for me a theme that I see that characterizes what you do. The videos of the stuff that you do is classy. Do you pay particular attention to that?
Very much so. I like to think of the Gemma story not only as the music, but it's everything. It's the visuals. It's what we're saying. It's how I'm saying it. It's how I'm coming across. And I think for me, visuals are a really important part of that. I produce all my own music videos. So and I've done video production for a couple of big artists in this country. Actually, when I take off the singing hat and put on the video production hats, and I'm running around with a clipboard and dungarees trying to make sure that everybody's transport is booked. But it's because
you enjoy that.
I love it. I love it. But I think that the visual side of things is so important, and you never know who's going to see that, and you never know, how it's going to connect. But also, I love it, and I think it's important, and I always want to grow and improve and do better with each video.
You've just said the Gemma story. What's the Gemma story?
I think it's still being written, but I think, there are certain things that I definitely, that are authentically who I am as an individual, not just Gemma, the artist, and the Gemma that you see on TV or on stage, but myself, that I want to carry through. Because like I said earlier, I think when you do something authentically, that connects with people. People need real. And I think my love for my country, my home, I think the music, and hopefully growing that to a space that, that can be hopefully listened to on a worldwide scale. I think Zimbabwe has amazing talent, and its time is now. I think the world has opened up so much to this continent musically, finally. A little late, but
Fascinating. So we have an ambition for the world stage, which I think you're already occupying. We're going to take a break here. When we come back, we're going to go to that ambition of the world stage, but also share with the viewers the awards that you've gotten, and ask the question, what's the next big thing for Gemma? So at home, don't you go away. See you on the other side.
This industry is not for the faint-hearted. I think there's a lot of hardship, and a lot of moments, and a lot of sleepless nights.
Greetings. My name is Trevor Ncube, host of In Conversation with Trevor, Zimbabwe's most engaging conversational show. I go beyond the headlines and beyond the sensational. We've brought before your screens change makers from arts, business, and politics, and from the region. Please join our growing community of viewers. Subscribe, like, and share. Welcome back to our conversation with Gemma Griffiths, Afrofusion musician. Gemma, you've received a number of awards. Which one for you stands out, and why?
I think a few years ago when Mugarden came out, I won 4 awards at the Zimmers alongside Winky. 2 of them were for Mugarden, Song of the Year, and I think Music Video of the Year. No, Collaboration of the Year. Okay. But that year I also won Female Artist of the Year, and I think my eyes just went like this. I was just like, oh my gosh. So I think that Zimmers was a really big moment for me. But every time you win an award, it really is a moment of like, wow, thank you.
Somebody's noticed what I'm doing. Is that important?
I think you don't need awards to say,
validate
okay, cool,
you.
We're doing a great job. It's a lovely thing, and it's a nice thing to know. Okay, cool. We're on the right track, and people are noticing. They're here for the journey. Yeah. But I know a lot of artists who I think who could win the world. And it's the music for me still.
So awards are amazing, but I think there's a certain type of affirmation, and one that I want to share with you right now is that I find you very humble. I find you authentic. You are my daughter's favorite performer. You've performed with her at Bishopsley, and you inspire quite a lot of young kids. Do you feel the burden of being a role model?
I think you need to always remember, and I think it's something that, you know, I'm glad that I did this journey over a long period of time. You know, I started with 200 followers, and I was, you know, and I was working my way up. It hasn't been a quick journey, and I think with that has come, as these milestones and these moments of growth have arrived, I've been learning the whole way, you know. And I meet people and they say, "Oh, how was Zanzibar? I saw you were in Zanzibar. How was this? How was that?" And you realize that people are really listening, they're watching. And so you've got to be aware of what you're putting out there, definitely. And I know that there are a lot of kids listening to my music. Parents send me videos of them singing My Tabasa Baba or Ndichatarisa. And so I do want to make sure that I am communicating certain things. It all ties back to that thing. What do I want to say? You know, like why I went to Chimani Mani. What do I want to share? What do I want to be saying? And I think upliftment and it's giving Zimbabwe in a positive light. Let's show the things that matter and laugh and be happy and bring joy. And
but is it always easy? I mean, when we started, you spoke about you had a personal moment of difficulty. What's been the most challenging time in your career? What's been the most challenging?
I think, like you said, it isn't as always easy. You have to understand that, you know, there's this Gemma that everybody sees, but she is also a girl, you know, and someone who's going through my own things, you know, and sometimes it isn't easy to then have to, you know, you're having a really bad day and all of a sudden you have to switch on and be this person. And I think Ndichatarisa was a good moment of that, where I was like, I don't only want to be the person who is happy and bouncing and all these things that I've been known for, because that is genuinely my personality. But it's not always easy. You know, this industry is not for the faint-hearted. I think there's a lot of hardship and a lot of moments and a lot of sleepless nights and a lot of go without any sort of give back. I think you have no idea what's going to work and you have no idea if it's going to work.
But you keep on going.
It's your only option if that's what you want to do. And I think learning to be gentle with myself and also be able to say, okay, put the phone down, put on some pajamas, climb into bed and just be with yourself for a bit. You know, these moments where sometimes I'm like, I have so much to do. And it's like, wait.
Self-care.
Yeah, you know, Gemma the artist doesn't exist if Gemma the person isn't whole, and I can't make the music if I'm not being honest with myself.
Do you have a process or habits of attending to Gemma the person?
I think I try and sleep and eat well. I pray and spend time with God. I know when I need space and time for myself. And I can close my doors and just take a little bit of time to be by myself. And I also fill up on the people around me. I have a really amazing support system, not only with my work team, you know, my manager who has mentored and grown me so much, and my friends who are musicians and creatives, but my family, you know, my cousins, my parents. I have an amazing support system, so I can talk things through with people.
What role does God play in your life?
A big one.
Talk to me about that.
I think my relationship with him has definitely grown pretty steadily over the past couple of years, and I find even when there have been times in my life where I felt far from God, that I was the one who had moved. And I think his steadiness, and he's shown me time and time again, and we've had a lot of big chats, and he's promised me that I'm doing this for a reason of which I might not be fully sure of yet at all. But all I've found is that when I pray and when I do the things that he is telling me to, that he follows through in ways that I couldn't. You know, there's been moments Ndichatarisa was one of them, where I did the same thing I've done with every song, but the reach that song had was out of my control completely. It was amazing, you know? So.
It's a powerful song. It's an authentic song. It's a song that touches you. You feel it. You feel it there. I was saying to you that I played it 5 times this morning. My wife and I listened to it the previous night. It's a powerful song, and it's a song that I think Zimbabweans in the world have not even started engaging with it. I think it's going to go places. So well done for that. You did a performance with Ranking, and Ranking and Sauti Soul are perhaps one of my favorite African musicians. Talk to me about that performance with Ranking.
Yeah, so Ranking came to Zimbabwe 2019, I believe, and that was the first time. So Winky D was performing just before Pato, and Winky actually brought me out to do Mugarden for the first time, and it was a surprise. So people didn't know that I was coming. And I had the last show that I had played before that HICC show was at some bar in Tanzania, I think, because I was on that road trip. And I think I played to about 11 or 12 people. And then I landed back home. My mom was going, I don't think you understand what's going on, Jim, like the noise around the song. And I had experienced it, but I hadn't been home yet. And I climbed on stage and I walked out, and I still get goosebumps when I think of that, the crowd. And I was just like, what is going on?
Wow.
And I think if you watch that video of Winky and I performing Mugarden at HICC, you just see me bouncing.
Is it the energy?
I was just like,
excited.
I do bounce when I'm happy. I was like, but it was incredible. And then my mom, my dad, and I just sat up until like 7 a.m, just like wired. We couldn't sleep. We were all like, what? What?
So mom and dad come and watch you when you perform?
They come to a lot of my shows. Yeah, not all of them, but
is that important for you?
I think it's really, really special. You know, my dad and my mom were there when I was playing these bar gigs, and they would sit there for 3 hours and listen to me sing. You know, it didn't matter. I'm very lucky with my parents. They've always been.
They must be very
supportive.
Proud of you.
Yeah, I think they are. Actually, yeah. I know they are. My dad says it a lot. They are.
You had your debut extended play, Palmway.
Yes.
Talk to me about the creative process around Palmway.
So Palmway I had written and recorded completely whilst living in that Land Rover. And I was taking like bird sounds and waves, and I was creating sounds on my laptop and just playing around and working with the experiences that I was having as I was traveling. And so it was moments of I guess not knowing what was going to happen next, you know, which was the journey, which was that idea of maybe, you know, are we going to leave today? Are we going to drive to the next place? Maybe, I don't know. And it was fun. It was a sort of love project to the journey, really.
What's the next big thing for you? What's your biggest dream? Where are you going to be in the next 5 years? Where are you going to be in the next month? Shall we start with the next month? What's the next big thing in the next month?
So I have been in studio a lot. And I think, you know, having just released this song, Dino Pembera, with the Chill Spot Boys on the rhythm, you know, and enjoying what's going on with new music. But I also have a song that's coming in not too long at all that I actually worked on sort of halfway through last year. Mm-hmm. It's going to be very bittersweet. It is very bittersweet to be releasing because I was working alongside the late Bob Nyabinde.
Oh.
And Mr. Nyabinde was someone very, very special to me, and we were very close and had a very mentor-mentee relationship for almost a decade. And I actually went to him about halfway through last year and I said, Mr. Nyabinde, I had this idea. I love your song Hapana, Chabuda Hapana. And I would love to sample the guitar and create something. Is that okay? He said, oh my gosh, this is great. And then I went away and created the song and created the beat and brought it back to him. And with his inputs, changed a few things. And his son, Albert Nyabinde, played saxophone on it. And we created this new song, Where I'm Going, which is coming out soon. And, you know, I didn't expect to be releasing it without him here. But a very, very special moment and an amazing way to have spent, I guess, our last moments together.
Special. Yeah. We look forward to that. Where are you going to be in the next 5 years, 5 to 10 years? What's the big thing? You spoke about the international stage. I mean, you're already there.
Yeah.
What are the plans? What's the thinking? What's the vision?
The plans are a lot of music, a lot of growth. I think we're just going to keep doing this. You know, I think the possibilities are endless. And I wouldn't even want to box it in, but I have a lot of plans and a lot of thinking of where I want to be. And I want to be making music on an international stage, on an international scale, that is proud of Zimbabwe, that Zimbabwe is proud of. And to be known as a Zimbabwean Afrofusion, Afrobeat artist.
Because that's just your superpower, isn't it? Being a Zimbabwean,
that's the one.
Producing Zimbabwean music.
Yeah.
You know, Winky D is sitting there, you know, say the thing that musicians and Zimbabweans sometimes miss is that you must be big here for you to be big out there.
100%.
Do you subscribe to that?
100%. I think having the support from home and the connection from home is the most important thing, and everything else will follow, you know. You've got to be able to be celebrated at home and connect with Zimbabweans if you're Zimbabwean.
Do you have a special message for your fans? Do you have, and if you have, I'm going to ask you to look at that camera there and speak to your fans.
Okay. Hello, fans. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the support. And I think just remember how much difference it makes. Every comment, every ticket you buy to come and watch a show, every share you make, every time you play that song, it matters. And I make music for two reasons. I make music for myself and my connection with God and my relationship with Him, and for what it does for me and how it makes me feel. But I make music for you as well, and I appreciate the connection.
Gemma, it's a privilege and honor for me to be sitting across you, because I believe that the sky is not even a limit for you. You're going to go places. So it's really a blessing to sit with what I consider to be a national asset. You're going to go places for our scale. So thank you so much. Before I let you go, you know I love books. Do you read books?
I read a lot, yes.
You read books. So I'm going to ask you to share at least 3 books that you've read with our book-loving audience. Okay,
I would say some of the books that have really stuck with me over the years, and I haven't read them all recently, I've read them over my lifespan. I would say Nervous Conditions by Zimbabwe. I think it touches on so many amazing and important topics within Zimbabwe, you know, and there's a lot of relatability. Yeah. I would say I'm a Girl from Africa by Elizabeth Nyabinde. I actually saw that book in an airport and it was bright yellow, and I walked in and I saw it and I said, if that's written by a Zimbabwean, I'm going to buy it. Right. And it was. And I was somewhere like Australia and I was far away from home, and I turned it over and I was like, Zimbabwe, let's go. And that was an amazing story of perseverance, and definitely worth a read. And it's a true story. It's what she's managed to do in humanitarian work and really make a difference. And Born a Crime by Trevor Noah.
Trevor Noah.
I think that is an incredible book. I think his writing is real, and it's he told a story. I think it was an ode to his mother. I think it had so many moments
Yeah.
of realness and
Vulnerability.
I think it touched on some hard and real topics. And then he also managed to bring in humor. It had everything.
It's a beautiful book.
So those three, I would say. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Like I said, girl, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. You know, we will keep watching you and hopefully touch base in another 5 years or so and see what you've done. Otherwise, keep the flag flying. I know you love this country. Keep the flag flying and keep being our ambassador out there. So thank you so much for creating the time to be with us. Allow me now to tend to our viewers who are all over the world. Thank you so much for making us who we are. We are out every week, 7 a.m. Central African time on YouTube. Remember to subscribe, remember to like, remember to share. We also have podcasts for you that sit on our website. Go to our website where all the conversation, all our content sits, and our podcast sit for your listening pleasure. Until next time, cheers to you all.